Presented by RomulusIT.com, offering remote support for common computer problems. With Trudeau's record as well as being a progressive, I think you've touched on this, and what I find very fascinating is the fact that you talk about, Albertans aren't being allowed to pull this out of the ground, but at the same time, we're importing oil from, I guess potentially how you would term it, less than desirable countries in the Middle East. Do you think that's kind of a bizarre hypocrisy?
Well, it is a hypocrisy. It's not bizarre for Trudeau. He has shown a great affection for dictatorships around the world. He praised Fidel Castro as a great revolutionary. He said that when asked what was his favorite government on planet Earth, he said that the communist dictatorship in China was the model he most preferred. So it's not surprising that he would favor foreign oil petro dictatorships like that in Saudi Arabia or Algeria or Venezuela over Canadian oil and gas production.
China's, I guess, a good way to segue through this. You had mentioned Trudeau's admiration for this. What do you believe is sort of the state of affairs between Canada and China now, and the withholding of Canadian citizens? I believe they were the first country to be approached for COVID vaccines. Where does it sort of leave us and the relationship between the Trudeau government and China?
Well, I think it leaves the Politburo commissaires in Beijing rolling around on the ground laughing at how idiotic and naive our government is. Of course, Trudeau, first of all, they've got two of our citizens hostage, so we shouldn't be doing business with them, period, until they release our people. Rather than taking a strong stand, Trudeau believed all of Beijing's lies about the early COVID pandemic. He actually attempted to sign a deal allowing for Canadians to buy the CanSino vaccine. You imagine anyone wanting to put something in their veins that was made by the communist regime in China. And as a result of that deal, we ended up missing out on signing on to get to the front of the list for vaccines made by reputable Western companies, and we then got our vaccines about 100 days late. So this sort of and it doesn't stop. He authorized military cooperation with the People's Liberation Army. He continues to give $250 million Canadian tax dollars to the Asian Infrastructure Bank, which is a China-controlled bank designed to re-establish the old ancient Silk Road. And he refuses to ban Huawei from Canada's 5G network, basically guaranteeing China would have espionage access to our most precious communications. So basically, he's doing whatever they tell him to do and putting our country at great long-term risk as a result.
You had mentioned the original lies of COVID with China. There seems to be alternative evidence coming out. And I don't want to get into any form of conspiracy theory, but do you believe, and I guess what you've seen, is there any evidence now, or is it truthful to sort of believe that COVID is lab grown and was part of some sort of international funding program by multiple nations?
Well, we don't know. We want answers to that very question. That's why we need a full forensic investigation into the origins of the virus. But we know that China lied about the very existence and severity of the virus at the outset, which denied the world valuable response time we could have used to contain its early spread. So we know that the government in Beijing has lied before. We don't, I obviously haven't been able to conduct my own investigations. I'm merely a member of Parliament in Canada, but I think we do need an independent and rigorous investigation with open access to all the evidence, including the Wuhan lab, let us get to the truth of the origins of the disease.
This episode is brought to you by Romulus IT, offering fast, affordable remote support for common computer problems, including troubleshooting, health checks, virus removal, and software support. Visit RomulusIT.com to get your computer back on track.